we just want to welcome you and introduce you to this new series, Voice of the Martyr Mondays. The name explains everything in itself. It's basically a series. Every Monday we'll be sharing a story / testimony of a modern day saint who suffered or gave their life for the sake of the gospel. So we hope this encourages you and strengthens you to be bold in your faith and to be intolerant. In Jesus' name.
This is a martyr who helped me understand Christ's sacrifice for us. Sometimes it's hard to understand what it means when we say Jesus died on the cross for us, or he took our place, and we hear that a lot of times growing up if we're grew up in a Christian family. And so it just ends up sometimes being a saying we heard, and so trying to take in what that means that someone took our place, gave their life in our place when we didn't deserve it. This is a martyr who helped me understand it and really broke my heart to understand what Christ did for us. His name's Father Maximilian Kolbe, and he lived during World War II. He gave his life in place for another prisoner. So because he publicly acknowledged he was a Christian, many extra sufferings were heaped upon him in Auschwitz, in the concentration camp where he was imprisoned. He had beatings, attacks by dogs, the dirtiest and heaviest work in the carrying of corpses. Totally exhausted, he at last succumbed to lung inflammation, was placed in an infirmary. Though he was in wretched condition, he said, "For Jesus Christ, I'm prepared to suffer still more," because he was in prison for his faith. He pleaded to his fellow prisoners to forgive their persecutors and overcome evil with good. Then they would shoot a prisoner a day, and so they chose a man to be shot. And Father Maximilian stepped forward and said, I would like to take this man's place because he has a wife and children. And the German guard said, "What does this Polish pig want?" And the other prisoners thought they wouldn't allow him to take his place. The commandant was silent, and when his thoughts were confronted, he amazingly acceded to the request, and the priest took his place and was killed in his place. So here's a picture of when he was Father Maximilian Kolbe at the time of his imprisonment by the Gestapo in Warsaw in 1939. And this is him at the time when he went to the at Auschwitz concentration camp. He said, "No, they cannot kill our souls. They will not be able to deprive us of the dignity of being a Christian. We won't give up. And when we die, we will die pure and peaceful, resigned to God in our hearts." This is an artist's rendering of when he was in the concentration camp. He said, "For Jesus Christ, I'm prepared to suffer still more." Here's the artist's rendering right here of when he offered to die in the starvation bunker in Auschwitz in place of another man. And down here is the man whose place he took, Sergeant Gajwanazak, and his family. In the starvation bunker, Father Kolbe prayed aloud and comforted the other prisoners. At the end of 2 weeks, when the cell was needed for more victims, he and 3 other inmates were still alive. They were given an injection of carbolic acid. With a prayer on his lips, Father Kolbe raised the arm for his executioner. So that helped me understand what it must have been like to have somebody take your place and to go free when you were the one who was going to die. And of course, we did sin and Christ was without sin, but it's still an example of somebody taking our place and a martyr we can remember. Father Maximilian Kolbe.